Welcome to another edition of the Dogger Pass podcast. This for UFC Vegas 71. I'm Paul Shaughnessy. Producer Megan's on the sticks. Cody Saftic is on the line. This episode of the Dogger Pass podcast and all episodes of the Dogger Pass podcast are brought to you by Prize Picks. Use promo code DOP when making a new account to get a match up to $100 on your first deposit. I got some payback to do for you there, bud.
Yeah, well, you know what? I got a greasy one on you. Got a greasy me on one on me the last time with Roman on. I don't know why even I agreed to that. And then I could tell in the tone of your voice last week, you were, as soon as you were like, "Yeah, we'll do it." By the end of it, you're like, "Well, why would I even agree to that?" So they were bad shoey bets, but I don't know. The things you do for content, right, Paul?
The people.
Anyways, enjoy it. Is it a seltzer that you're going with?
Yeah, it's a blueberry iced tea seltzer. I'm not gonna say the brand because they ain't paying me any money. But
true.
And this is like, I haven't worn this shoe since last summer, but I use them to cut my grass. So there's actually like, it's bad. I'm a trained professional. Nobody should try this at home. Hopefully I don't get sick. If you don't hear from me next week, you know what happened. I'm in the hospital. All right, over the lips, past the gums. Look at stomach. Here it comes.
I was actually almost slightly tempted to join you and give myself a self-inflicted shoey just because, man, I had a bad week last week. Top ticket play, no good. Even Chris Gutierrez, I should have been on the other side of that one. But, yeah, not a very good week. So I did feel some type of responsibility. But who self-imposes a shoey? Like, well, why not just drink the beer? And then at that point, it's not a punishment. It's just a nice beer. So hopefully, I know I've been saying it a lot recently, this looks like a better card. There's some nice spots on here. The odds don't seem totally blown out of proportion. So we just got to find those little gems, Paul. And hopefully neither of us are doing a shoey next week, but rather celebrate it.
No, we could end up doing a shoey. I wonder where we'll end up, whether we're going to be passionate enough about a certain side to do another shoey. But we don't like doing shoeys every single week. I feel like, yeah, last week's one was a little bit forced. I forced you into another one. We don't have to do one next week. I don't think, unless we're like really passionately opposed to each other on something here, but we'll see what happens. Main event. We got Curtis, Razor, Blaydes taking on Sergei Pavlovich, minus 175 for Curtis Blaydes, plus 150 for Sergei Pavlovich. I mean, we're not reinventing the wheel here, Code. We've got wrestler who, when he has been exposed, it's due to the chin, twice against Ngannou, super power punchers, people with the death touch. Absolutely have been able to put him in his grave. Otherwise, Curtis Blaydes is a fantastic heavyweight. He'd be a champion if it wasn't for some of these top elite guys. Guy has really good cardio. The striking is always kind of a work in progress, but it gets better and better, and he's able to compete with some guys. Last fight against Aspinall, that's just MMA being MMA. We didn't really get to see what was going to happen between those two guys. There's no fault on Curtis Blaydes. I mean, if anything, it means like leg kick. Do you want to leg kick him? Because his legs are so strong, they absolutely just obliterated Aspinall's leg. But it's heavyweight. It's heavyweight bangers. You know me. I like dogs. I'm going to be siding with Pavlovich just because outside of over him, and man, was that a bad look. That's exactly what Curtis Blaydes could do here. Take him down, pound him out. Outside of that, this guy has been a wrecking ball of all wrecking balls. Just finishing everybody in the first round. Tai Tuivasa, super durable guy. Just icing him like that. It's just like, this is one scary guy in the heavyweight division. And because he's a plus 150 underdog, I like that. There's some, if you could do a little bit of shopping out there, there's like plus 300 out on the market. I'm not going to say the book or whatever. It's like a plus 300 out there on him to win in round one. That seems like a nice little play to me. Yeah, Pav for me. Not going to be shocked either way. High level heavyweight. Really looking forward to the main event to find out what happens. What's your take here?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with Sergei Pavlovich as well. You're talking about plus money, heavyweight. Yeah, you can trick me into it. Curtis Blaydes has got the wrestling advantage. He's also got the cardio advantage, I would think. Pavlovich's last 7 fights have ended in the first round. So if for whatever reason this thing does not end in the first round, I would think pull the shoot on your Pavlovich bet and jump on the other side with Curtis Blaydes, because one would have to figure, he's got the 5-round experience. He's got the Colorado altitudes experience. He's got the ability to push a pretty heavy pace for a big man. I would think the longer this fight goes, probably also plays out for Curtis Blaydes. So I'm not crazy. I know what Pavlovich needs to do in order to get the victory here. And that's what he's been doing, which is let his hands go, touch his opponent up, beat them to the target, and get the knockout win. He's got heavy hands. People keep bringing up the Alistair Overeem fight. And how could you not? It's his one loss in the UFC. It's his one loss in his career. And he gets absolutely starched. Gets starched on the ground as well. Not a great look, considering if Blaydes gets on top of him and just starts hammering down with those hammer fists, that getting that ground and pound going, getting those sneaky elbows going, he probably does the same thing to him. Here's the thing for me. Sergei Pavlovich currently right now is 30 years old. 30 at heavyweight. You know this, Paul. It's young. It's very young. Mm-hmm. Guys that are like, the division's old. I mean, John Jones is an older fighter. Stipe Miocic is an older fighter. Even the young guys, Tai Tuivasa, he's 30, same age, right? He's kind of fallen to the wayside. Cyril Gane, he's 33 years old. Francis Ngannou, he's in his late 30s now. It's a heavyweight division. They mature a little bit later. So I feel like Pavlovich, when he fought Alistair Overeem, he's 26 years old. He's making his UFC debut, and they give him Alistair Overeem. Like, this is not a very easy fight for anybody, let alone a UFC debut, let alone the fact that he's 26 years old. He's still just an infant in the sport. Since then, he's looked a lot better. Since then, he's been getting those first-round knockouts. Since then, he's been letting his hands go. Trains at Tiger Muay Thai. Guy has a wrestling base. Apparently, he started wrestling at the age of 5. Didn't pursue it, like, internationally. Didn't pursue it in college or anything. Actually joined the Army. But all the same, it's like he does know how to wrestle. He does train with a lot of high-level grapplers now. He's not completely out of his element. So I think he's got some good things going for him. What I see with Curtis Blaydes, though, is that he used to be the guy that just wants to wrestle. He just gets, when he exchanges with guys, like the Francis Ngannou fight, knocked out. The Derek Lewis fight, he didn't wrestle as much as he should have, considering he's fighting Derek Lewis, a guy with absolutely zero takedown defense. There's an easy path to victory here. And yet, he kind of chose to strike with him a little more than he should have, and he gets knocked out. It's the fights after that. The Yarazito Rosa struck, he mostly just lay and prayed him because he understood, hey, I don't want to play with fire. But the Chris Daukaus fight, he didn't try to take him down. He tried to bang with him. He absolutely stood in the center, tried to throw down with him, and then says on his post-fight interview, he's like, everybody thought that I was going to come in here and shoot. Well, I want to show you guys I'm one of the high-level strikers of the division. That's fair, man. That's fair. But you're going to play with fire. You're going to get yourself in trouble. And I think with Sergei Pavlovich, if he comes out and tries to stand for a few minutes, it's a few minutes too long. If he comes out with the opportunity to shoot the takedown and get the takedown, probably wins this fight. Here's the one wrinkle that leads me to believe that Pavlovich still does have a chance, though, is when Blaydes is getting on these guys like Rosenstruck's got no ground game, no ability to get up, no submissions, and otherwise is not held as a or regarded as a very good grappler, and yet he mostly just laid on top of him. The Derek Lewis fight, Derek Lewis has zero grappling. Blaydes did take him down. He just didn't do anything with it, and Lewis is able to get back to his feet. If he takes down Pavlovich and just doesn't do anything, this is a 5-round fight, man. Pavlovich will eventually get back up. Either he gets himself up, either the referee stands you, either the round ends and he just is not exhausted as everybody thinks he's supposed to be. Comes out for that second, he'll have opportunities to crack him. So I'm going to take Sergei Pavlovich. I think his win condition is the knockout, so I think you would take him by knockout as well.
All right, we got Brad Tavares taking on Bruno Silva. Brad Tavares is a -150 favorite. Bruno Silva can be had for +130. Your thoughts?
Yeah, this is a dog or pass fight, so I'll actually take the underdog in a second straight one. Bruno, it's no disrespect to Brad Tavares, just him favorite versus anybody. I'm not particularly interested. He's super one-dimensional in that he's a striker. He's not looking to wrestle. He's not looking to grapple. He is who he is. He's been a sparring partner to some of the best guys in the sport in Las Vegas for over a decade. He's comfortable in that area, but he doesn't do anything to wow you. He doesn't do anything exceptional. He's not known for big power. He's not known for his big stopping abilities. He's mostly just there to spar with you for the 15 minutes. And I think in doing so, he allows his opponents to kind of get away a little bit of sometimes in the striking numbers, right? In the volume and just kind of that tenacity. He's 35. I don't think he's going to be getting any better. He's serviceable. He'll give you 15 minutes, but that's kind of about it. If you look back to say the guy fought Israel Adesanya, so he's not been to the top of the mountain, but at least he's fought the best guys in the division. It's just he stood and he stared at him the whole time, gets outstruck 119-40, right? His fight with Edmund Shabazian. Shabazian's like 21 years old and turned out to fan out, not be all that good. He just recently left Edmund to Verdi, and so maybe he'll be okay. But it wasn't a great version of Shabazian. He knocks him out. The Omar Akhmedov fight, the split decision, Creasy fight, definitely volume towards Brad Tavares, but still, not pulling away from a guy that's no longer with the promotion and it's not all that good to begin with. And then that last fight with Dracus Duplessis. I love Dracus. Everybody loves Dracus. So again, he's fighting good guys and not getting the result he wants, but at least he's fighting good competition. It's the fact that he wins the first round. And Dracus is huffing and puffing with his mouth wide open, can't breathe out of his nose, and Brad's up the round, and he just allows himself to get outworked in the second and the third. Now, Dracus has got lots of volume, right? He's got lots of work rate, and that's Brad's issue, is that he just doesn't keep the pace with those guys that are willing to pull ahead on him. So against Bruno Silva is very much a one-dimensional striker as well. His ground game, probably not bad, but probably not great either. He wants to stand, he wants to bang. The guy went 15 full minutes with Alex Pereira, got doubled up on the striking numbers, but landed some heavy shots, man. Gave a pretty good account of himself. And then his last fight against Jeremy Richard, I thought he looked awful, like awful. So if that version comes out here again, Brad Tavares probably, stands with him at distance. You got 15 minutes, and Brad probably just edges him out. But if Bruno comes in here and does what he's capable of, I think he's either going to catch Brad with a heavy shot, hurt him, stun him, land the bigger blows, get the judge's decision, or maybe just go out there and pull ahead, work him a little bit. So this is something that'll probably be way low this week. But listen, underdogs are going to come through. I get it. Brad Tavares is not someone I'm looking to back. Unless he was the underdog, I'd have a better look at it. But favorite status, Brad Tavares, me, just don't go together.
Yeah, I totally agree. I can totally see Brad Tavares winning this fight by decision, 15 minutes, more volume. Bruno Silva doesn't really get much over like 60 significant strikes. But the strikes that do land from Bruno Silva would be very, very damaging. You really don't know. When it goes to the scorecards, you really don't know how the judges are going to judge, strike versus strike. They're not looking at the stats. They're saying who landed the better strikes over the course of those 5 minutes. So I can see him winning the decision. Brad has been historically very, very difficult to finish, but maybe that durability is just ever so slightly starting to go away from him. So I think the path for Bruno Silva to get a knockout is there as well. Plus 130, not a fight that I'm actually going to bet, but for the purposes of this show, Bruno Silva will be my pick as well. We got Bobby King Green taking on Jared Gordon, minus 255 for Green, plus 215 for Jared Gordon. I love Bobby Green. I always just get really nervous when he's minus 250. That's really what it comes down to for me. I think skill for skill, this isn't even remotely competitive. But I've said this in other situations, I think, when I can't recall off the top of my head which fight I'm thinking of, but like he was like minus 300, and then he just went out there and he was a goof. He was an absolute goof for most of the fight. And you're just like, this is why you don't, like, you bet Bobby Green at like plus 130 as an underdog in a fight against somebody they should be remotely competitive. You can understand that there's a little bit of edge for the other side because he's very skilled in every aspect of the game. But like, on the feet, I think it shouldn't even be remotely competitive. His boxing, his little shoulder shift or whatever is elite. Like he's solid. His wrestling is on point. Like, I imagine he's got like a decent sized reach advantage over Jared Gordon, who's pretty undersized for lightweight. Like everything points to Bobby Green, and I will be picking Bobby Green. But at minus 255, if Jared Gordon lands a shot and Bobby Green starts going like, shaking his head, no, that didn't hurt me. Oh, that didn't hurt me. It's just like the judges see that and they're like, oh, that shot right there, that hurt him. I hate when he does that, and I really don't like playing the minus 255s, but I get it. I get why he is the favorite in this spot. And, shouts to Jared Gordon for being, getting, and I ended up taking Paddy Pimblett after round 2 because I'm like, the fix could be in here. And it turns out the fix was in there because Jared Gordon won that fight against Paddy Pimblett. Let's call a spade a spade. But, yeah, Green will be the pick for me. But at minus 255 in his history of doing kind of dumb things in there, it won't be a bet for me. What about you?
Yeah, I remember the fight you're talking about. It was him versus Thiago Moises. He's a minus
Hmm.
300 favorite, and he outstruck Moises 85-49. But yeah, just when you're being stupid and you're shaking your head and you're basically telling the judges, yo, this guy hit me. And yet when Bobby lets his hands go, he's not a huge power puncher. He's more of a volume guy, right? So maybe they're just not acknowledging what he's doing in there. So yeah, I think if you're not going to go for the kill every time out, you're going to leave it. I don't want to be the guy that says leave it in the hands of the judges because at an elite level, it's going to happen, right? Sometimes you just can't put away this man in 15 minutes or in 25 minutes. You should be able to comfortably leave it in the hands of the judges and have them not screw you. But Bobby's style is a very subjective style. So I hear what you're saying, right? Whenever he's another one of these guys, if he's minus 250, minus 260 favorite, you're going to have some type of reservation. But I think he should be a bigger favorite as far as I'm concerned. I think he wins this fight fairly handily. Bobby Green is an elite level fighter. He's just a goofy guy, right? He's kind of our generation's or this generation. I guess I shouldn't say our generation, but he's this generation's Charles Crazy Horse Bennett. He's supremely talented. He just doesn't really put the best of his abilities together all the time. He's got a journeyman record. He'll fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. Again, it says he's never going to fight for a title because he just doesn't take it as seriously as he possibly could. But Bobby Green's actually really good everywhere. He's got good grappling. He's got good wrestling. He's got good cardio. His people will say, "Oh, he just got knocked out," and his other knockout losses to Dustin Poirier. Like, yo, believe me, his chin's rock solid as well. As you mentioned, he's got like that shoulder roll, like the Philly shell defense. He's got a razor fast jab. His boxing is overall pretty good because he keeps his hands so low and showboats in front of you. People think he's showboating, sure, and there's no benefit to it. But his hands are so low when they shoot in on him, it's easy for him to get double underhooks because he doesn't have to drop a high guard. There's no dropping under his strike. His hands are already in place. He's got excellent footwork. He just doesn't take it as seriously as he possibly could. On one hand, you got Jared Gordon, whose story is that he was able to overcome hard drugs in the street life, versus Bobby Green, who's still on hard drugs and the street life. But I think Bobby gets results. And even that last fight with Drew Dober, he had landed 73 significant strikes through half of the fight, right? It was like 7.5 minutes into the fight, 73 significant strikes. Then he got caught. It's Drew Dober. It's going to happen. That's some sickening work rate, some very good striking, and you're fighting Drew Dober, one of the best in the division, and outclassing him like that through a round and a half. It's impressive. His fight with Rafael Fiziev, he outstruck him 143 to like 103, right? Outstrikes Fiziev, a world class. He's your coach, your striking coach's striking coach. And again, whatever, he lost the fight, but my God, he gave one hell of a great account of himself. So if Jared Gordon thinks he's going to stand with Bobby Green is just going to give him a free clinic on, it's going to be a free striking seminar, right? If Jared Gordon decides to do what he did against Patty the Baddie, push him up against the cage, make it a grinding affair, try to use his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, I think he might still be a brown belt under Danaher, but I don't know, maybe he's since got a black belt from somebody else. I just don't think it's going to work, right? I don't think it's going to be able to. No one's been able to just hold on to Bobby Green. Islam Makhachev was able to, dispatch of him with an easy takedown. But outside of that, like he's fought in some pretty good grapplers in his time. Even the Thiago Moises fight, like he got out of everything and took Moises down twice as well. He's a very hard guy to submit. I don't think anybody's ever submitted him, at least not in the UFC. So what's Jared Gordon's game plan? Is he going to outwork? Normally he outworks guys. Is he going to outwork Bobby Green? I don't see that happening. Is he going to take down and hold down Bobby Green for 15 minutes? Again, I don't see it happening. And then whereas Bobby normally needs to outwork you because he doesn't got no knockout power, Jared Gordon's chin is no good. Bobby could 100% knock him out. In fact, what's the Bobby Green by KO prop?
I don't have it in front of me.
If it was good plus money, 100% has my interest. Jared Gordon tends to just fight in front of you and get hit a lot. And when you throw as much heat as Bobby Green does, hitting a guy a lot means hitting a guy 140 significant times. And he just doesn't have a chin for that. You look at a lot of these spots, he gets wobbled, he gets knocked down. He's fighting light power punchers, Patty the Baddie, Leo Santos, Grant Dawson, Joe Selecki, Danny Chavez, Chris Fishgold. None of these guys can crack. The hardest power puncher of that bunch, I don't know, Patty the Baddie probably. Like that's not, none of those guys are strikers. None of those guys got heavy hands. The guys that did have heavy hands, Charles Oliveira, who knocked him out, Joaquim Silva, who knocked him out, Carlos Diego Ferreira, who knocked him out. Those guys knock him out. So Bobby doesn't fall under the category of a power puncher in the slightest bit, but he throws so much. And if you're going to try to fight him for 15 at a heavy pace, you're going to take a lot of damage. I can see Bobby actually getting that job done. Knocked out Ally Quinta for no other reason than Al was old and over the hill and his chin wasn't there anymore. I'm going to say Jared Gordon falls into the exact category. And then book me some Bobby Green versus Paddy Pimblett the next time. That's the fight to make.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think the UFC books that. Come on. I don't. They don't.
They're trying to protect Paddy.
Paddy's got to get the takedown. And, like, that is.
Bobby Green's hard
he will
to take
get.
down.
He's very hard to take down. And that is a horrible stylistic matchup on the feet. So they're not booking that. They are not booking Bobby Green against Paddy. Unless it's the last. You know how the UFC rolls. Unless it's the last fight on his contract. And they're just like, who's a guy that's criminally underrated that'll probably give Paddy an L so that we don't have to pay him the big bucks on this deal. That's how these things roll. Whenever Paddy's deal is done, or it's the last fight of his contract, he'll get like the Bobby Green fight. That's how this business works in general.
Yeah, I would say that the UFC brass would be like, okay, who's the guy that the judges refuse to screw on the scorecards? It's like Paddy. Okay. Who's a guy that the judges love to screw on the scorecards? Bobby Green. Oh, well, that's the fight to make. And then that gets Paddy a top 15 ranking. You know how this business is, Paul.
And then then what the play there, buddy, is wait for like Paddy to be down 2 rounds. Like two clear rounds, and then take like Paddy by decision plus 900 after round 2. Print all of the money, and then Bobby gets robbed again, and you're like, this guy his record doesn't do justice to how good of a fighter he is. And it makes sense that he's minus 255. Because of his antics inside of the cage, I don't love laying it because he opens the door for the judges to screw him. And he's done it over and over and over again. But yeah, he's both of our picks. He's a great fighter. All right, we got Iasmin Lucindo taking on Brogan Walker, plus 280 for the underdog Brogan Walker, minus 340 for Iasmin Lucindo. You were like really, really hot up on this one before we started recording. So I'm going to let you talk about this one, Code.
No, it was basically a joke, but I'll let you into the joke. So again, it's like there's the theory of Pat Mayo, which is bet these big plus money underdogs, and then there's like logic. And so when I saw this one, it was like this has got Pat Mayo wins plus money on this written all over it. But then I tape studied it, and it's like logic just jumps in the way. So on one hand, you've got how is Iasmin Lucindo going to blow this one? Well, first of all, she's a minus 350 favorite, which is way too high to begin with. Second of all, women's MMA, this is way too high in general. Third of all, she's 0-1 in the UFC, debuts, loses, gets outstruck. She's a striker, gets outstruck. So it's not as if she's like some hot prospect coming into the division looking to make some noise. She's 0-1, lost her debut.
Yeah, but she lost one of the best prospects.
Yeah, she lost.
The other Iasmin,
and gave a good account of herself.
Waregui is like she's an awesome prospect in this division. So like,
but this is before the logic. We're just talking the theory. There's the theory and the logic, right?
I'll stop interrupting.
The theory being, why would this girl be this big of a favorite? And not only that, she's 20 years old. So what could possibly go wrong betting on a 20-year-old fighter? Come on. This is going to be a striking battle, right? If you look at her fight with Iasmin, she likes to strike. She is an absolute banger. Very wild, very open, loves to just throw the hooks, but she got a cast iron chin. She's very aggressive, and even though she's loopy, like she's got some good power, she's willing to engage. She's going to be like a very young, very green version of a Jessica Andrade, let's say, someone who's willing to just close that distance, get in the pocket, and absolutely slug it out and throw down. Brogan Walker, meanwhile, she's also a striker. This is just going to be a striking battle, and one girl's sloppy and these openings. Why can't Brogan Walker just make this a 15-minute striking affair? She lost her debut as well to Juliana Miller. Juliana Miller is a grappler. She got grappled by Juliana Miller. She does her best work in the stand department. So if you've got two girls standing in women's MMA for 15 full minutes, one of them's a minus 350 Paul. How often does this go bad for little Cody? All the time. But yeah, again, when you watch the tape, Brogan Walker, 33, she's kind of slow, and she's very flat-footed as well. Fights with her hands low, and then looks to stick that jab and just kind of go to her opponents in a little bit. Maybe it's because she's worried about the grappling, but I would say she's a couple notches slower than Lucindo. And then that game plan of fighting with your hands low and trying to just use your reflexes to get your guard up or get out of the way, it's not going to work. It's not going to work because the other girl's 20 and very, very fast and very, very strong. So you can't just rely on your reflexes to jump out of the way. You need to hold up a high guard. And it's just not the way she fights. It's not the way she's comfortable. So like Lucindo is just going to chop her away. Maybe stops her. Maybe it's a 15-minute striking fair, sure. But the way she's throwing is very ill intent. She's not looking to go 15 minutes. She's looking to get the knockout. And Brogan Walker feels that power a little bit. I could see a world where she probably, forces a second round stoppage or something like that. That's logic. I use logic to make my picks. Lucindo's the pick. But yeah, come Saturday night, you know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen. And there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing I can do about it. That's the frustrating part. So it is what it is, but I will take Lucindo.
I ran this one through the CF dot model, and it said pass. It didn't say the dog. Don't take the dog. So yeah, Lucindo's the same one for me. It's like I was impressed. Warigi is one of the best prospects in the division right now. They had an absolute war. It was a fantastic fight between two young prospects. It's like one of those fights. It's like I can see them fighting 5 years from now for like something significant, whether it's a title fight. Like, I don't know, like an actual, like one of them has the belt, but like whether it's like a contender, like a top contenders match, something like that. It's like both of them are going to be around for a long time. I'm impressed by them. And Lucindo proved in defeat that she definitely belongs. And at 20 years old, the sky's the limit. So I won't be betting this fight, to be perfectly honest, but yeah, I'll be picking Lucindo as well. I think she's got a lot of potential moving forward. We got Matthew Semelsberger taking on Jeremiah Wells, -110, straight pick 'em, homie. Who you got?
I'm going to go with Semi the Jedi, Matthew Semelsberger, to get the job done. But this is a fight that's probably going to either end in the first round and be a win for Jeremiah Wells, or I can get it into the second round and Semelsberger will start to take over. So definitely a good live betting opportunity. You'll probably get a better price than Semelsberger if he actually gets thrashed in the first round, which is entirely possible. If you just go back a couple fights to the AJ Fletcher fight, I know I bring it up all the time, but Fletcher shouldn't have been able to have that much success with him, especially on the ground. Took him down, ragdolled him around, and he did all that just by being very physical. Now, Semelsberger's big boy for the division. Like he's big, thick, 6'1", 75-inch reach at 155 pounds. Man, this guy's kind of like, Brady. Or sorry, at 170 pounds, this guy's a pretty big, thick dude. But yet Fletcher just tosses him around, and he made a whole lot of mistakes on the ground as well. Fletcher gasses. That's what allowed Semelsberger to come back and get the win. The Alex Morono fight, God, it worked pretty clean. And then his last time against Jake Matthews, best version of him I think that we've seen yet. He's starting to figure it out. His grappling's pretty good. His striking is really good. What I like about him is his ability to go that 15 full minutes. He's going to get bum rushed here by Jeremiah Wells, though, so I just need him to hold up for that first round. If he can hold up for that first round, Wells can't keep up this pace, man. Listen, this dude is dangerous in that first round. There's just no way he's going to be able to keep it going. In his debut against Warley Alves, he's lucky he knocked out Alves 40 seconds into the second because he exerted a whole lot of energy in that first round. It's a Renzo Gracie BJJ black belt out of Renzo Gracie Philadelphia. He's got a nasty, nasty left hook on him, but he's going to just come out here and go guns a-blazing for that early finish. It worked against Warley Alves. It worked very well against Blood Diamond. I'm no surprise there. But then his last time out against Court McGee, Court's old. He's over the hill. He's journeyman sassy. He's this and that. He got a hell of a beard on him. And not only that, he's got a pretty good chin too. And he just got absolutely smoked out of there by Jeremiah Wells. So when you keep getting repetitive success doing the same thing, there's really no point in changing it. I don't see him changing it. I think he's just going to come out here, bum rush Semelsberger, and try to hit him up. Semelsberger's hittable. So that left hook's definitely going to be in play. Semelsberger's takedown defense isn't cast iron, so the takedown's definitely going to be in play. And he's going to have some ground and pound opportunities and maybe some submission opportunities as well. But I'm going to have enough faith that says that Semelsberger doesn't get finished in the first. Second round, the takedowns don't come as easy. That big left hook doesn't come as quick. He's going to start to pay some dividends. By the third round, Semelsberger either takes him out or wins the third round, wins the decision. I just need this. I'm playing the long game on this one. So for live betting, for the pick is Semelsberger, right? But live betting opportunity is where I'm more interested. I think there's a lot more value in seeing how this one plays out and maybe getting a better price on him after the first. And then for Jeremiah Wells, yeah, dude, my butt will be puckered the whole time because I know how he fights and I know how talented he is, I just don't see it having like long-lasting success in the UFC. Keep in mind he's 36 years old. So this guy tried this on the regional scene. It just didn't really go all that well. He didn't fight all that often. He's got a suspect gas tank. Lost a decision to Manny Wallo. Yeah, that Manny Wallo. Lost a decision to Vinicius de Jesus, who I'm actually a fan of, but not all that great. I think he had 10 fights when he made his UFC debut. 10 fights under his belt, and he was 34 years old. But that just doesn't happen all that often. He wasn't very active. He doesn't have those long rounds. He doesn't have that deep experience. I bet you he's an absolute beast in the training room, but 15 minutes in the octagon's a lot different. So for that reason, I'm going to go with Semelsberger.
When you said that Manny Wallo, oh yeah, that Manny Wallo, I don't think anybody.
That Manny Wallo.
I don't think anybody knew what you're talking about.
So remember Phoenix Jones, the superhero? He was going around. He ended up being Ben Fodor, who's the younger brother of Koros Fodor, Strikeforce veteran, UFC veteran. Actually lost to Sam Stout in the UFC. I think he went 0-2 and got cut. Marine, alcoholic. How do you not know these guys, Paul? Anyways, his younger brother Ben Fodor was Phoenix Jones. Superhero, would go around, beat up a couple people in the streets. Was a famous character in the MMA community for a little bit. And then he lost to Manny Wallo. That was like Manny Wallo's claim to fame. So not a terrible fighter, just not a good fighter. And I think with Jeremiah Wells, he was not expected to do anything, right? He's 34. He's never had his crack at the UFC. He makes his debut against Warley Alves, and he's a fairly significant underdog, right? Plus 200 underdog. So he just bum rushes him and he knocks him out. Well, hot damn. Then they give him Blood Diamond. Well, Blood Diamond's no good. So this is just a free win. So you weren't supposed to get to the UFC. Then you come in as a huge 2-1 underdog, but you capitalize. You beat Blood Diamond. Then you beat an old Court McGee. Now you're the flavor of the week. That's what happens, right? Everyone's high on him. I think he's 36. Well, I know he's 36. But I think he's got suspect cardio. I think he's a first-round guy. That's why he's trying to get these fights done as quick as possible. I don't think he believes that he's going to be able to continually fight deep into the second, deep into the third. Paul Felder raised about how talented he is. Sure, in the training room, right? I think he'll tire out the longer this one goes. So, cut me up for Semelsberger. And that's your Manny Wallo story as well.
I mean, my only concern with Semmels, I mean, it is a pick 'em for a reason, but I mean, Semelsberger against Fletcher. And what is AJ Fletcher but maybe a slightly less explosive Jeremiah Wells? Like he's
only like a purple belt.
Wells it was a very close. Exactly. So it's like better BJJ for Jeremiah Wells. Probably more explosive power from a striking standpoint. It's a little bit more dangerous. He's a step up, and you know that you had Semelsberger, I had Fletcher as a big dog. It's like your butt was puckered. Admit it.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't have a big shoey bet on that one. A 3-1 or a 2-1. Oh.
You know it. You know that was before we were doing multiple.
I know.
I'm gonna pick Wells. Because it's still, but I don't know if I'm gonna bet it because I think at this price it's a little bit more accurate. But I'm gonna pick him for the purposes of this show. But yeah, a lot of the points that you say, it's just like I think the longer this fight goes, it's going to be bad for Jeremiah Wells. I'm not convinced that he's able to go a full 15 minutes at a high pace. But yeah, neither was AJ Fletcher. So, and they still went the full 15. So, kind of a red flag as far as I'm concerned. We got Ricky Glenn taking on Christos Giagos. Ricky Glenn, a minus 160 favorite. Giagos can be had for plus 140. Cody.
Yeah, well, here's another great live betting opportunity. Christos Giagos is a thoroughbred racehorse. This dude is going to put it on you for about 5 minutes, and then he just starts to slow. I'm massively impressed with Christos Giagos. I always have been. He's got a lot of muscle on him. He's shredded up, good-looking kid. And then he goes out there and he fights for your dollar, right? He gives absolutely every ounce of energy that he has. Thing is that he tends to use that energy like early in the first round. If he can win the first two, then he's on skates for the third. Almost guaranteed. His fight with Damir Hadzovic, holding on for dear life in the third round. His fight with Mizuto Harada, he was holding on late. His fight with Carlton Minus, he couldn't finish Carlton Minus. And again, late in the fight, gassed out. When he loses, they're the best guys going for sure, but he's not competitive against those guys. Arman Saruki knocked him out in the first round. Thiago Moises submitted him in the first round. He's not going to be able to get over that hump of like top 15, top 10 guys. But yeah, he's just like a powerhouse, man. He's got excellent grappling. I think he is a BJJ black belt, but of course there's levels to black belt. He is a offensive black belt. He's going to take you down. He's going to try to sling to your back. He's going to try to rear naked choke you. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, he'll use every ounce of strength in his arms squeezing, every ounce of energy in his legs squeezing. His shots, everything he shoots is fast. He's very explosive. He doesn't set up an underhook up against the cage and try to slowly, methodically peel you to the ground. He'll just bulldoze you to the ground. I love that style. How could you not love that style? Fans at home, and they want to be entertained. Christos Giagos is either going to win in entertaining fashion or lose in pretty entertaining fashion. The thing with Rick Glenn is like have you ever tried to punch like a wet piece of rope? Yeah, it just doesn't work, right? Like the guy is just, he rolls with it. He's kind of, I wouldn't call him a punching bag, but like he does a very good job of just, absorbing whatever's thrown at him and then be able to deliver it back. Now, his takedown defense, not that good. His physicality, not that good. Christos Giagos will be able to take him down. Christos Giagos will be able to outmuscle him. But he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt himself. Very slick grappling, good submissions, good submission defense. He's also got really good cardio, really good pace, and a significant striking advantage. So if Giagos takes him down early, great. Glenn will get back up and at the very least defend himself on the ground, not take too much damage. When he's back up, he'll win those exchanges. He'll start to bring up that volume. He'll start to take him into some deeper waters, and then he puts him away. His fight with Gavin Tucker should have been stopped 3 times over, but it was like the closest thing I've ever seen to someone getting killed in the octagon. Ricky Glenn just did not go away. He's got volume for days. He's got some heavy strikes. It's that last fight with Grant Dawson. Dawson, similar to a Giagos, is like a powerhouse wrestler, He's going to get those takedowns, and he's got good grappling. Thing is he's got way better cardio, way better ring IQ, way better technique. He doesn't have to muscle everything. First round, Ricky Glenn's getting taken down, out-grappled. Second round, Ricky Glenn's getting taken down and grappled, but he's starting to put some work in. The third round, Dawson, of all people, who's never shown in the UFC to have gassed out, is running on fumes. And Glenn puts a 10-8 beating on him. And they should have stopped that third round. No one stops Rick Glenn fights. I don't know what they want him to do. Kill a man? But he 10-8 round Dawson. Afterwards, he's flat out tells Dawson's like, oh, good fight, man. And he flat out tells him, he's like, yeah, I whipped your ass. Straight to his face. And then they announce it as a draw. And he's like, oh, I don't care because everybody knows who really won the fight. I think the same thing plays out here. I think he faces some early adversity. He gets taken down. You probably get a better live money price on him going into the second. And all of a sudden, Giagos isn't going to get those takedowns as easy. He's going to have to work a whole lot harder. He's going to start huffing and puffing. His hands are going to be by his side, and he's going to get stopped. So Rick Glenn, and then if you want to chase those exotic props, like a third-round TKO is 100% live in play here. So give me Rick Glenn. I know he's going to have to overcome some sticky situations early, but I think he will. Giagos wins 2, survives the third. Although that's possible, it'll still be a draw, just like the Dawson fight. Like he's gonna put a beating on. It's a small cage too. There's nowhere to run off to in that third round when you're trying to evade.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in complete agreement with you. Really nothing else to add to that one, to be perfectly honest. We move on down. We've got Montell Jackson taking on Rani Yahya. Montell Jackson a minus 550 favorite. Rani Yahya can be had for plus 420 on Prize Picks. They've got like. Shouts to my boy BMR again. He was on the scene, and I didn't really actually take it, but they opened it at 2 takedowns for Montell Jackson in this fight. It went down to 1.5, but I still think unless he's like, on what planet would he take this fight to the mat? Now this happens in MMA all the time. Sometimes they try to take guys down at the end of the round to try to like secure it, anything close, but it's like you have an obscene reach advantage here, an obscene strength advantage here. It shouldn't be remotely close on the feet. Montell Jackson, the only way he gets himself in trouble in this fight against Rani Yahya, who is very long in the tooth, and will flop to his back and do all crazy types of things to try to get you to come into his zone because he doesn't actually have very good wrestling. The only way that, you really lose this fight is by going into Ronnie's world. So I imagine leading up to this fight, his camp has been saying like, Robin Black used to always say to us, it's like the hot lava. It's just like, do not go to the ground with Rani Yahya. That's where you lose this fight. Not that like Montell Jackson has really good grappling. He's shown some real signs of having like a good submission game, but it's like there's levels to this game, and if you keep this at range, you've got an obscene reach, speed, everything advantage at range. So keep it there. Minus 550 is absurd. I'm not going to touch that. But, yeah, he's my pick for sure. And, Prize Picks, it's like if he fights a smart fight, he doesn't go for any takedowns here. So I would say under 1.5 takedowns on Prize Picks. Promo code DOP to get a match up to $100 on your first deposit.
Montell Jackson's hot fire, man. Everybody expects him to win. I expect him to win. You expect him to win. The odds makers expect him to win. Minus 600. It's just, dude, Rani Yahya has his knack about him. He's not good. He's not good. He's never been good. And yet the guy wins fights. If you're a longtime listener of the show, you know how bad Rani Yahya is, and yet he wins fights. He's like that Claudio Silva. Remember, the dude beat Leon Edwards.
Yep.
He is shit. He is one of the worst guys you've ever seen fight in your life. But he's got this way about him that they can win. They can flop over, end up on top, and win the round. The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is good. It's very good. And a lot of these guys are just a little step behind. So on one hand, Rani Yahya's got very few paths to victory. On the other hand, he'll find that few and far between. Montell Jackson's got good takedown defense, but Montell Jackson also, by the numbers, gives up takedowns to pretty much every opponent. Julio Arce took him down. JP Buys took him down. Brett Johns took him down 8 times. Felipe Colares took him down. Andre Sukumantas took him down. That doesn't bode well against Rani Yahya, because even though his wrestling is so bad, he'll just like jump on a single leg and then fall to his side on the single leg, create the scramble, and all of a sudden he's clinging onto a leg lock. Then he'll use the leg lock to sweep on top, and now all of a sudden he's on top. Like, he's got very good jiu-jitsu. The other thing is his striking. Non-existent. But he knows he's so good on his back that what you're seeing in recent years is that he just throws with reckless abandon standing. He'll come at you with just like the sloppiest hook, big old leg kicks. Because what are you going to do? Use that sloppiness to your advantage to take him down? He wants you to take him down. You're going to counter with him that big shot? It's hard to counter because he's just coming in like a windmill, flailing away. It's a very difficult opponent to get ready for. But that being said, listen, Rani Yahya could win 10 fights in the UFC. I know who Rani Yahya is. Very one-dimensional, not very good guy. He's 38 years old. He's got bad cardio, bad wrestling, bad striking. Durability is pretty good. I give him that. And his jiu-jitsu is fantastic. But it's not like, you mentioned hot lava, like the fight hits the ground and then instantly he submits you. He's not that kind of jiu-jitsu. It's the fight hits the ground and then the round's his. Like if he's on top of you even for a minute, that round's his. He has a good way of just making the best use of his spots in there. So dangerous opponent, but he's giving up an 8-inch reach advantage. He's given up like 8 years, in the age department. He's giving up a whole bunch of athleticism and power. I don't know how he wins this fight. Him shooting a clean takedown on Montell Jackson, even though I just read the list of opponents that have taken Jackson down, I don't think it works. I think Jackson's going to be able to brick wall him, keep the fight standing, utilize that big reach advantage, utilize a power advantage, maybe even knock him out. Jackson's last 2 fights have gone to decision, but this kid's got some pretty good power, and I think that Rani Yahya, if he doesn't get the fight to the ground, he's going to be there to be getting hit. Now, will he pull a flop to his back every time so that he doesn't get knocked out? Yeah, I've seen him do it a bunch of times. Right? He will flop to his back. The referee says, stand up, stand up. He'll stand up. You'll go to hit him with a clean shot. He'll just drop his back again. It's like a get out of jail free card, and he will use it. So I don't know for sure that this fight finishes inside the distance or goes to decision. I could see it happen both ways. But both ways, I think Montell Jackson wins the fight. And it's also 2023, right? Like Rani Yahya's claim to fame is he won the ADCCs. He won the ADCCs in 2003. It was 20 years ago, man. Like, this is a long time. This guy's an absolute OG of the game. But at the same time, like, it's like everything develops. And I think now judging is developed to the point that they're looking for damage. They want damage, damage, damage. They don't want you hanging out on top and landing 20 significant strikes over 15. They want the guy that went for it. And I think that even if he gets this fight to the ground without that quick submission, it's going to be, oh, okay, well, he got his ass kicked standing, but it's up. I think the judges will get it right.
Cool. All right, we got Big Norm Dumont taking on Karol Rosa. Big Norm, minus 120 favorite. Karol Rosa could be had for plus 100. I actually, this opened with like Big Norm being like plus 185. I mean, that line was around for like a minute or two. I ended up scooping up some plus 125 because I was just like, Karol Rosa moving up to 145 pounds. Big Norm's got some junk in the trunk. We know she can't even make 135 pounds. Like, never. Like, it's just not. It just, she failed, what, 3-4 times trying to make that weight class. She's not easy to take down. Has very, very credible striking. I can understand a world where Karol Rosa wins on volume here, but it is refreshing that, I got in at plus 125. It's minus 120 now. I think it's a lot for Karol Rosa. Karol Rosa got knocked down in her last fight against Lena Landsberg, which is like, it was not a great performance. She ended up winning. She ended up winning pretty cleanly, but it's like she put herself in some harm's way there. Big Norm will be ready. She will be my pick. I'm already on her, but at a significantly better price. As this becomes more like minus 120, minus 130, I don't know if there's too much meat on the bone. I do think it's a pretty competitive fight, but I think like the mathematical split would be like 60-40 Dumont to Rosa. So Dumont's the pick for me. What about you?
Yeah, I hear all your points. I'm going to go Rosa the other side, but I hear you. I think it's going to come down to the takedown. With Karol Rosa, I don't care about the knockdown in the last fight. Lena Landsberg's big for the division. She's got some good power, good striking, and whatever. It's a knockdown. She popped right back up and then went right back to work. So I think Karol Rosa can win this, just like you said, on the volume, with the work rate. Keep going. It's the takedown I'm worried about. In her fight before that versus Sarah McMahon, oh my God, her takedown defense is non-existent, and her get-up game is non-existent. Like it's not there for her. I understand the wrestling from Sarah McMahon, world class. So giving up the takedown, no problem there, girl, no problem. It was the get-up. She had no ability to get back up to her feet. And then in the third round, when Sarah McMahon pulled a classic Sarah McMahon stunt, I have no cardio, please come finish me now, she still wasn't able to do it. She still wasn't able to capitalize. So what I'm worried about here is that Dumont's not a big wrestling threat at all. She doesn't really actively pursue the takedowns all that much. But you saw in the Danielle Wolf fighter last time out, why would I want to just stand with the boxer the entire time? So she gets those 2 easy money takedowns. She also scored takedowns in a few other key fights. She took down Aspen Ladd, which is, Aspen Ladd's career is just tail spinning. Goddamn Jim West, man. Thanks a lot, pal. Regardless, solid takedown in that fight. Her fight with Felicia Spencer, high-level BJJ black belt, another takedown in that spot as well. If she goes out there and takes down Karol Rosa, I think the round's hers instantly. Even if Rosa is doing this great work standing, if Dumont just dumps her to the ground and can rack up 3-4 minutes of top control, it's going to be Dumont's, right? But she doesn't wrestle enough for my liking. So give me the plus money on Dumont. I would do what you did. I would take it. Currently, right now, we're looking at a minus 120 Dumont and a plus 100 on Rosa. There still is no dog money here. There's no real good lean. There's no Pat Man theory in play. There really isn't. So it's just who's your heart and who's your gut tell you who's going to win. And I think Rosa's got the volume. She didn't really show that her last time out against Landsberg. Same reason. Why do I want to just stand with Landsberg when I know the path to victory is get the takedown? So she got 3 takedowns. She won the fight that way. But in a pure stand-up battle, she does got excellent volume. She's capable of throwing up over 100 significant strikes. I should say landing over 100 significant strikes over 15 minutes. And so I'm hoping that it's enough here. I'm hoping she just works Dumont over, because one thing that she does have on top of the volume advantage over Dumont is the speed advantage. She's not as big as Big Norm, no doubt about that. This girl should be going down a weight class, and Norm could be going up a weight class for sure. The power is going to go towards Dumont. The wrestling is going to go towards Dumont. The ground game is going to go towards Dumont. But that speed and that volume, those are in Rosa's territories. So she can use that to her benefit, and hopefully Dumont just fights a bad game plan. That's what I got to hope on. But I will take Karol Rosa.
We got Junior Tafa taking on Mohammad Usman. Tafa, minus 120 favorite. Usman can be had for plus 100. People are saying it's good Tafa versus bad Usman. What are your thoughts on this matchup there, Code?
Yeah, I'm actually going to agree 100%. So when you look at Junior Tafa versus Justin Tafa, Junior was always the credible kickboxer of the family, right? Like, he's fought for glory. He's fought at a very high level. He's had a lot of success. He's trained with some of the best guys on the planet a few times over, and he's a legitimate threat. I would say he's definitely the good Tafa. In terms of the Usman, there's no debate. there's really no debate. Kamaru is world class. He's good. Muhammad's not good, man. Now, I understand he just won the Ultimate Fighter, and I understand that he just got a bonus out of it, KO to the night bonus. He knocks out Pauga. That's all well and good, but like it's not who he is. He's very immobile. I think he wrestled like high school level. He has wrestling similar to Kamaru. Kamaru decided to pursue it, and Muhammad decided to play football, I believe. So they went in different routes. But when they fight now, Kamaru still has that wrestling. Muhammad, the wrestling is not there, or at least he's not willing to use it for fear of gassing out. They call him the motor. I don't see him having his deep cardio. He's unwilling to use the wrestling that he may or may not have. He relies on just like one hitter quitter singular strikes, and it'll work here and there. It worked against Zach Pauga, a natural 205 pounder who had won the first round and then ran headfirst into that shot. Yeah, it works there, but against a world-class kickboxer, you got to mix in the wrestling, and he just never has. He's shown pretty much zero ability to switch gears, which is crazy because of how good his brother is at blending in both styles, right? Muhammad just isn't quite there. Is it possible that he'll get comfortable? Maybe. He's 34 years old, though, so hard to say, right? Is more training going to help? Most definitely. But can he overcome some of his shortcomings? Yeah, I don't know. You watch back on The Ultimate Fighter, both of his wins, Michel Stipe and then the Eduardo Perez fight, like both razor close, man. Like he could have lost both of those fights and nobody would have complained. Didn't look great on the show. The Pauga fight, he was losing until he knocked him out. And before any of that, he fought for PFL against Brandon Sales. This Brandon Sales guy is 40 years old, okay? He's from Fort Benning, Georgia. He shows up as a massive plus 315 underdog, and the 40-year-old guy proceeds to absolutely whip his ass top to bottom, man. He kicked his ass in the first round. He outstruck him. He tired him out. He took him down. He choked him out. It was like a home run performance. Mohammad Usman is just not good. So I understand he just won the Ultimate Fighter and he just won his UFC debut. And he's got a famous brother. Like I get it, but that doesn't change anything. As I use my logic to easily take Junior Tafa to get the win here, and I don't mind the price tag. We've got two shitty heavyweights, Paul. And what usually happens during those sloppy mid-level heavyweight performances is like anything can happen. He could fall on top of him. He could all of a sudden use his wrestling. Henry Hooft and company should be like, we actually know who this guy is, so don't stand with him. Take him down. Maybe that's the plan. I would hope that somebody tells him. I just think that even if his game plan was to go out and exclusively wrestle, I don't believe he's going to do it. So I got to go to Junior Tafa. The worry here, and I've just expressed it multiple times over, is that Junior Tafa is a world-class kickboxer, but his MMA career, his 4-0, is all happened in 9 months. So, like, how good could his wrestling or his grappling possibly be? Whereas the other guy, not good. Usman's not good. At least he knows how to do it, right? Does he do it in his fights? No. Can he do it? Maybe. But that maybe is, maybe he could do it. And if he does do it, he's got a path. He's got a path of victory. This is not a bet the bank on it. But yeah, they're going to stand up and bang, which I think is the most likely outcome. I think Junior Tafa just clips him, puts him away.
I mean, Mo Usman would be very, very foolish to not come in here and like shoot for a takedown immediately, because we don't really know what Junior Tafa can do in the grappling department. I'm sure he's working on it at the gym with his brother and all the other people that are at the gym. I'm sure they're working on it, but it's like in fight, in situation, is he ready for it? Because Mo Usman is a big body. It's like if that big body gets on top, it could be super dangerous. But I'm with you. It's just like if he doesn't take it down, and we're talking low-level heavyweights, so game plan sometimes just goes right out the window. If it's just a stand-up affair, I'm going to be siding with Junior Tafa with you. We got Francis Marshall taking on Wiliam Gomis, minus 205 Marshall, plus 175 for Gomis, the Jaguar. Who you got here?
I think there should be some decent value on Francis Marshall. I think he has the skills, has the potential to easily win this fight. Kid's 23 years old, very young, getting better. Head coach is Kurt Pellegrino, Batman. OG UFC fans will remember him from the mid-2000s. BJJ black belt, was a New Jersey boy. But having him as a mentor is going to be huge because he made a lot of mistakes, and he was a world-class fighter, man. Like, he almost got to title shot territory a few times. but made a lot of mistakes. But having that guy guide you, I think this Francis Marshall kid's going to be okay. They got a blossoming gym, solid training partners. He can grapple, he can wrestle, but it seems like he likes to stand right in front of you and deliver some heavy shots. Most of his wins inside the distance, got a nasty rear naked choke, as you can imagine. Kurt Pellegrino was his head coach. The kid knows how to grapple a little bit. On the Contender Series against Connor Matthews, first time he had gone to decision, or sorry, second time in his career he'd gone to decision. But yeah, solid pace. I think he looks pretty good all over. He's still young. He's still getting better. But I think that if you can't avoid him and you're going to have to stand and exchange with him at this stage and this level, he's going to do just fine for himself. And so his fight with Marcelo Rojo does exactly that. Rojo's a banger. Most guys, if anything, just don't stand right in front of him. Well, Marshall didn't give a shit, man. He backed him up the whole time. He brought the fight to him and eventually puts him away in the second round. It was a pretty clean victory. Here's the worry here with Wiliam Gomis is that Wiliam Gomis is more of a fleet-footed fighter, right? He likes to stay on his back foot and move laterally. So I got one guy in Marshall that's going to come forward and want to engage in the center. I got another guy in Gomis that might play that outside perimeter game and just stick him with the jab and move, stick him with the jab and move, him with the leg kick and move. That's possible too. And if you do that effectively for 15 minutes, good work, man. And Marshall's 23 and he doesn't cut angles. He doesn't got good footwork yet. So that style of just choosing from the outside and just picking away, trust me, it's effective and it could work. But I don't think that Gomis is going to be able to do it for a hard 15 either. In his debut against Yarno Aarons, he was hardly moving at all. Like he was more content to just stand flat-footed and shell up, allow Aarons to get a couple shots off, and then get the takedown. And that'll work against Yarno Aarons. He's a striker from the Netherlands with, he could throw up a triangle or something off his back, but he doesn't got a ground game. Let's be real, especially not at this level. Not that this level is even a thing anymore, but it should be. They're not grappling at that level. So Gomis was able to largely just bait him in, let him throw some strikes, take him down, and win the fight like that. I don't think that's on the table with Francis Marshall. His takedown defense is much better. His grappling is much better. He's going to make you work. He's not just going to sit there and accept it. And in terms of just touching him and then try to get out of dodge, we're in the apex. It's a small cage. There's only going to be so much of that you can do. Francis eventually puts hands on him. He eventually wins those more meaningful exchanges and then gets the win. But the worries here are 23, young, not great footwork, and he's there for a humble experience. Someone's eventually going to teach him a few lessons in there. Just don't think that Gomis is the guy. Gomis seems like he's got the athleticism and the speed as advantages. I just don't think he's going to put them to a proper use. So I got to go with Francis Marshall. I don't hate the line either. Like, I think he wins this fight. Could I get burned on a spot like that early? Yeah, I can see it happening. It's MMA. I get it. But I think he gets the win. And I think he's got a bright future going forward as well.
Yeah, there wasn't very much volume coming from Wiliam Gomis in that fight against what's his face?
Yarno Aarons.
Yarno Aarons in his first fight. And he basically leaned on his wrestling throughout most of it. I kind of thought he was like a stand-up specialist in that spot. I think that wrestling advantage is gone in this matchup. Francis Marshall, I think he's young, developing, not so keen on lane minus 205. He's got a lot of work to do to continue to prove to us that he belongs at this level, but this should be a pretty manageable victory for Marshall. So I'm with you on that one. People's main event.
Would you also agree, though, worst nickname on the entire card?
Who?
Francis Marshall.
What's his nickname?
You're going to have to take a wild guess at that one.
I finally actually have a computer that works again in front of me. I've been updating the entire time. That's why I've been a little bit short-worded.
No, all good. I'm long-worded. I think people know that.
Yeah, I think people know that at this point. Well, you're putting me on the spot here. At least I have a computer to work off of now, finally.
All good. He's Francis, and Elliot Marshall used to fight in the UFC back in the day for your mid-2000 OG fans. And he was Elliot the Fire Marshal, which I thought was awful. Francis also Fire Marshal. So
that's not the worst nickname. That's not the worst nickname.
On this card, for sure.
On this card?
That's the low-hanging fruit, man. It's the low-hanging fruit. Your last name is Marshall, then you just have to be fire. Remember Kevin Burns? He's got an accidental eye poke win over Anthony Johnson. He was Kevin Fire Burns. That one was worse than Fire Marshall. Fire Burns.
Brogan Walker is the bear. That's not a great nickname.
Yeah, but what if she's Mama Bear?
She's in big trouble against the young cub.
Yeah, the young
I'll tell you that much. Yeah, I'm not gonna be going through everybody's nicknames right here. Let's move on.
We can go from worst nickname to best nickname in this next one.
Zombie Girl, Priscila Cachoeira. She's a dog, Cody, against Karine Silva. Minus 200, plus 170. Is there a world where Karine, I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know how she pronounces
Killer
it.
Karine.
Is there a world where she takes her down, finds a submission? Of course, yeah, that's what she did in her last fight out there. But, you know me. I haven't laid it yet. Been waiting for these markets, watching all of the haters pile up on my girl, Zombie Girl. And it's just like, you know when it comes to Saturday night, I'm going to have some money on Zombie Girl because this girl goes out there. She will gouge your eyes out if you're trying to submit her, which she did against Jillian Robertson. This girl fights for your money every single time she goes out there. She's criminally underrated every single time she goes out there. I mean, what has Karine Silva really showed to us to lead us believe that she's like 66% in this spot? Like, her path is, let's get this fight to the ground. Because if she wants to stand at range, we can go to war. Like, we're called Zombie Girl for a reason. She will throw them hands. She doesn't get finished. She's got insane durability. There's only one path to beat her. Maybe Karine Silva has that path in her arsenal, but I just keep doing it. I do it every single time this girl goes out there. They always price her plus 170, plus 200. It's just like, all right, I'll put my money on the girl who is at, like, you can tell she's a hard worker. She's not the most talented. Her takedown defense is very, 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 very exploitable, frankly. But the girl is as hard of a worker as you'll ever find in the UFC, and she throws them hands. Like what? It was Lipsky last time out, and Lipsky looked. It's funny how Lipsky, after losing to Zombie Girl, how good she looked the next time out there. I think Cachoeira is just criminally underrated every single time that she enters the octagon. And a plus 170, I mean, you'll be getting my money. Whatever book is out there that I have access to, that has the best price later in the week, because like people hate Cachoeira. Everyone always fades her. They add them to their parlays, yada yada yada. And then on Friday, maybe Saturday morning, I scoop up the other side. And over time, it's worked out. Like her second fight in the UFC, she's taking on Valentina Shevchenko, like historically the best fighter in this division. Like horrible
it's actually her first fight.
Sorry, her first fight in the UFC. She goes out there and they literally throw her to the wolves. And then everyone after that is just like, this girl sucks, blah, 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 blah. It's just like, she doesn't actually suck. She's got heart, she's got power. And sometimes that's all you really need to get a W in the women's flyweight division. So, yeah. Cab, leader of the free world. Let's go.
Yeah, well, listen, it's not as if she beats any world-class fighters, but what she's excellent at doing is beating people that, geez, turns out they weren't that good. So could anybody say with any degree of certainty that Shayna Dobson's any good? No. And Cab's going to beat her. Gina Mazzani, no good. Beats her. Gia and Kim. Man, that Gia and Kim fight could have actually gone against her. But she comes forward the whole time. She splits her face open the last, 10 seconds with a set of elbows. That's what won it in her favor. So even her loss to Jillian Robertson, she's sticking her thumb in the girl's eye, trying to eye gouge her, trying to get the eye right out of the socket, just to save some poor soul's bet out there. This girl is willing to go out on her shield for your money. How could you not jump against her, or how could you not get behind her? But she needs to take on somebody that's potentially suspect. Killer Karine, I think this girl is very good. Here's the thing, though. I couldn't tell you with a degree of certainty that she isn't potentially suspect, because everything's quick wins. The win over Polyana Bateller last time out, first round finish. Jan on the Contender Series, second round submission. Sydney Roca, first round finish. Simone Silva, first round finish. Giovanna Edwards, first round finish. Victoria Ferreira, first round finish. Last time she's been past over 1.5. The last time she's been over 1.5 rounds, She lost. She lost a decision to Dion Barbeau. So there's at least a possibility that her cardio is not all that good and she needs to get the first round finish. And with Priscila Cachoeira, we know her win conditions is like survive the first round and then start to really get going after that. So this one has all the makings. And when you look at this card, there's 3 other women's MMA fights, right? We talked about, applying the Pat Mayo's theory to the one, but geez, just neither of us could really, at the end of the day, I think, pull the trigger and go with Brogan Walker. So I decided to not use Pat Mayo's theory. The other women's MMA fight, it's an even money fight, so the theory can actually be applied. So this is the last one. It's going to happen, man. The plus money girl's going to hit. Pat's not going to be denied on this show. Everybody knows that. And because I'm not taking Brogan Walker, I will take Priscila Cachoeira. Last thing I will leave with you, live betting spot for sure. But just think about the card 2 weeks ago, 87, right? Sam Hughes versus Jacqueline Amarim. Amarim's much better grappler, slick submissions, probably going to be Sam Hughes. The first round, she's all over her, man. On her back, looking for the rear naked choke. Some people online are talking about it as potentially a 10-8 round, which she failed to get that rear naked choke in the first round. The rest of her game fell apart. Because as it turns out, she's a first-round finisher. As it got to second and the third, then even plus money Sam Hughes was able to go out there and get the job done. Fights later down in the card. You got Paulo Rosas Jr., okay? That first round, he dominates. He dominated the first round, okay? He gets the back. He's looking for the rear naked choke. Some people online are even talking about maybe this is a 10-8 round. But when he failed to get the choke in the first round, Christian Rodriguez works his way back in the second and third and puts the beating on him. So that's exactly what we are hoping happens in this spot. Karine Silva probably does take her down and try to choke her in the first round. If she does not get it, hit that live money on Priscila Cachoeira and hopefully catch a beating comes to play.
Or Cab just goes out there and just throws them hands and finishes her in the first round, like against.
She's done that a few times too.
Against your girl Landsberg, or against your girl Lipsky last time out there.
Even in the Shayna Dobson fight, right? It wasn't like a 25-second KO. So she's how many girls can you say have less than a minute knockout or a minute 5 against Lipsky? I suppose Shayna Dobson 40 seconds. Like that doesn't happen very often, man. She's even got other. This is her regional show career, but 49-second KO against this girl that was 4-1. That girl was 0-5. She only lasted a minute 9, but for good reason, I suppose. Like she's got power for the division. She's aggressive. She can fight for 15 full minutes. She can land over 100 significant strikes. She throws dirty stuff like elbows and eye gouges in. Okay, let's hope. Well, we wish it into the universe. Now let's just hope it cashes through.
Yeah, Lipsky is just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You want to go toe-to-toe, just like slobber knocker, shot for shot with Zombie Girl. Bad decision. I mean, Karine Silva will not come in here and try to do that. Because if she does, I know who's getting their arm raised at the end. Karine Silva can win this fight, but she's going to have to, slow the pace down. Get this fight to the ground as soon as possible. Not that she can't win at range, but it's like you can't just go in there and try to slug it out with Zombie Girl. Like, Zombie Girl will survive. And she'll finish it. Like, she's pretty much unfinishable unless you submit her. Crazy chin. Love Priscila Cachoeira. One of the bigger fans, I would say. And it's a crazy path to the fandom over the years. But like everyone else kind of thinks that she's horrible, and like she has problems in her game. But it's like I think she's criminally underrated every single time she gets in there. And finally, we got Batgerel Danaa taking on Brady Heiston. I'm Batgerel Danaa. I mean, anytime I hear what's John Anik say, it's like I think it's Batgerel Danaa. I think is actually how he says it. But like, how are you supposed to pronounce that? I'm sure every single podcast out there talking about the exact same picks as us this week is messing up that pronunciation all day long. We got minus 135 Danaa, plus 115 for Heiston. Who you got here, buddy?
Yeah, I got to go with Batgerel, I think, to get the job done. He just seems like he's got a little more in his toolbox. Takedown defense, not bad. Not great, certainly. His UFC debut, he got taken down at will against Orichi Lang. But outside of that, I mean, pretty solid. His last time out, he took on a decent wrestler in Mr. Perfect Kyo Ho Kang. Stuffed his 2 takedown attempts in that fight. And then has really had one of those high pace type of battles. He's got a good chin on him. He's got some decent firepower. He's the guy that won 3 fights in the UFC in a row, all by first round knockout. Knocked out Guido Canetti, Kevin Natividad, and Brandon Davis. He's definitely got power, but if he doesn't land that big power, he's also got volume, right? The Kang fight, he lands over 100 significant strikes. He's able to carry it through. His cardio is not bad. He's serviceable. 33, I don't expect any major improvements out of him, but again, someone that had left China to go to Jackson Wink back in the day. Guys don't usually do that. The Chinese fighters that stayed in China weren't able to develop certain parts of their game until later on. A performance institute opens up. Coaches are going over. Money's flooding in. For Batgerel, he had left. I think he's actually Mongolian. I called him China. I apologize. But all the same, he leaves Southeast Asia and he's able to come over and get some good rounds in at Jackson Wink. And I think you see he's got more of an American style than your typical Asian fighter to him. Good volume, heavy-handed, decent takedown defense, solid enough in points. Again, serviceable, going to be one of your curtain jerker type fighters, but capable of going out there and kind of giving everybody a fight. Brady Highstand, meanwhile, I actually had high expectations for this kid. He's super young, and you'd expect that he's going to continuously getting a lot better. I mean, even now, he's still only 23 years old. You look at his regional show career, he took a lot of good fights. He fought Chan Analiger in Canada. This kid's like 20 at the time. Leaves his confines of his own, his home, leaves the States as an undefeated 20-year-old kid to fly to Alberta and fight the local guy in his own backyard, the full-grown man. Like, bad idea, but it shows what kind of heart the kid's got. He's got a wrestling base. He's very scrappy. He's very tenacious. He goes on The Ultimate Fighter, and I thought he looked very good on The Ultimate Fighter. It was the finale against Ricky Tercios, whereas you saw he's very one-dimensional with the wrestling. Like, he needs to hit those takedowns. Even when he does hit the takedowns, there's not exactly a whole lot of volume coming out of him. Ricky Tercios had a big striking advantage. Ricky Tercios had a cardio advantage. And even though it was a split decision, like, they got it right. Ricky Tercios won that fight. So he takes a little bit of time off. He comes back against Fernie Garcia. He didn't gas against Fernie Garcia, but like, nothing happened, man. He got easy takedowns when he wanted them. He landed, I think, 20 maybe like 24 significant strikes. I'll bring up the exact number. 19. He actually got outstruck 21-19 by Fernie Garcia. But because he had the 3 takedowns, he's lying on top. That's fine. Here's another problem against Batgerel. You're not going to be able to just rely on those takedowns anymore, man. He's going to make you work for them. He's way physically stronger than Fernie Garcia. And so if you don't get them, he's going to box you up standing. If you do get them, what are you going to do with them, right? Are you going to hold him down for 15 full minutes? Are you going to just blanket him? Do you have a refined submission game or ground and pound you've been working on? Is he not going to be able to just explode back up to his feet and box you up again and win back the round? All question marks. And so because he's so young, if he came out here and looked like $1 million, it wouldn't shock me. Guys are going to make rapid improvements at this age. They're going to get more comfortable. No doubt he's getting more comfortable. He's getting more experience. He's improving and he's getting better at a rapid rate. And he's 10 years younger than Batgerel. And that's going to make a difference. The old man's strength, the veteran, the experience, the striking, the strength. I think Batgerel wins this fight. So whatever. Low-level MMA fight, expect the unexpected. I get it. But minus 135, I got to go with Batgerel.
I'm totally with you, bro. I think it's small cage, you can make the argument on one side that, and actually the market, as I look at the odds currently, seeing minus 155s, like the market agrees with you right now. It's moving in that direction. Batgerel Danaa is a problem. Like, I was on Brady high stand in both of those fights. And I thought he was a big dog against Tercios. I thought that was a little bit off. He was a sizable favorite against Fernie Garcia, and I was very nervous in that fight. And I said, if you're not able to, get takedowns at will, I haven't seen very much from your stand-up game to lead me to believe that, like, as you move up the ladder here, that you're going to be able to compete. Now he's taking on a power puncher with good mobility, very, very good strength. It's a very, very tough matchup, I think, for him. So Batgerel Danaa is the pick for me as well. Going to be adding some money on Batgerel Danaa. I've got what's her face? Big Norm at plus 125. But yeah, as it gets close, like as it's a pick 'em right now, a lot of my edge I think is gone on that one. Not going to be surprised if that fight goes either way. Oh, and on Bellator, I scooped some plus 250 on Arlene Blenko against McCann. I think it's still, what's the price on that still? Kind of crazy. It's like, you have to remember that, like, Blenko recently went the full 5 rounds against Cyborg. And Sarah McMahon, while she should have a massive wrestling advantage, don't get me wrong on that front, she used to fight at 125 at one point. Like, she's going up to 145 for this fight. It's going to be really hard to just push around a much, much bigger woman for 3 rounds and control her. It's like, at range, I feel like Blenko should win very, very comfortably. I'm just kind of looking up to see what those odds are currently. Plus 169, plus 160. Like, I still think Blenko's the side there, to be perfectly honest. Like, a lot of these UFC fighters leave the UFC, go to PFL, go to Bellator, and what ends up happening, Cody? They catch those L's. I wouldn't be surprised. It's like Burgos last week. It's just like, there's a lot of the old thing, and like, when you get to the top 3 of each division, it's probably still true that the best fighters fight in the UFC, but it's like, you get outside of that top 5, you get into the top 10, top 15 range. It's like, there's people in Bellator, there's people in 1FC, there's people in the PFL that would eat your lunch if you went over to those promotions. So it's not like it used to be.
Further your point as well, I remember everyone's like, oh, dude, Burgos is a lot better than Obey Mercier, isn't he? And it's like, well, how do you figure? Burgos is a 45er. He fights in the UFC at 145. Obey Mercier is a 55er. He fought guys like Arman Sarukian when he was in the UFC at 155. So Burgos just narrowly edged out Charles Jourdain at 145. Okay. Obey Mercier would absolutely kill Charles Jourdain. No questions asked. 30-27 or a finish. Easy money. Burgos just fought tooth and nail this guy, but he's suddenly just going to beat the crap out of Obey Mercier. Because you're right. When you leave the UFC, the expectation is you're, classier than these guys that already got caught. And, he never got caught. He left it because his contract was expired. And Dana White's publicly like, oh, man, we screwed up. We should have signed the guy. And he's blowing up his phone, and they're offering him this huge money. So now the perception is like, he should win. It's like, he's moving up a weight class, taking on a guy that's better than him and better than the guys that he's been fighting and struggling against recently. So your point here is the same thing. Like, Sarah McMahon is not only broken goods in the UFC coming over here expected to do some great stuff, she's moving up a weight class, and that is where the inadvertent risk comes into, right? You're just expecting her to go, Blenko's a boxer from Australia, she's got to get taken down, and she might. But how many times have you seen Sarah McMahon win the first 2 rounds and then get TKO'd late, or win the first round and get TKO'd in the second, or her face got paralyzed that one fight, or she taps at like the first sign of danger, like you can do way worse for that kind of plus money, man. So I think you're onto something, but I'll hit you with the PRP this week.
Let's do it.
We're going with dogs in the first 2. We're going to go with Sergei Pavlovich, underdog, Bruno Silva, like that one a lot less, but I am going to take him, underdog. We're going to go with Bobby Green. We're going to go with Iasmin Lucindo. We're going to go with Matthew Semelsberger, even money pick. Rick Glenn, Montell Jackson, Karol Rosa, even money pick. Junior Tafa, pretty much an even money pick. Francis Marshall, Priscila Cachoeira, dog number 4, and Dana Bakary. So, yeah, I think this card's got some good spots here and there. Like, do you have to parlay every time? No, but I think the parlay has got a shot this week. At least I'm optimistic. But even just like piece by piece, the values aren't crazy out of line. There's some decent props. There's some decent over-unders. And hopefully overall, just a decent weekend for the betting purposes. You've also got a PFL. You've got, is there a PFL? Sorry. You definitely got the Bellator card. Well, what else is there? Yeah, there's an LFA and a CFFC. Nobody really wants to bet on that unless there's nothing else on. Of course we'll bet on it. Yeah, there's nothing else on. Like nothing else, like not even on your Saturday or nothing. All the same, enjoy your weekend. And I'm hoping this is the one that comes through for us. We'll play it good this week, hopefully.
Let's make some money, buddy. That is it for us this week. Hope you enjoyed the show. For producer Megan and Cody Saftic, I'm Paul Shaughnessy saying goodbye and good luck.